Thanks for watching. This is James, the Lease Master, your resource for all things office, industrial, and retail. So today's search is going to deal with one of our new clients that's looking for about 1,000 to 2,500 square feet of industrial space. This is a pretty unique deal because this industrial user wants 100% climate control. That's going to be a problem because most industrial space, particularly in this part of the market, we're talking about Southwest Houston, that's where we're located here, it doesn't have HVAC space and a space that small. Most industrial space is going to be larger than the 1,500 to 2,500 square feet as well. I think that's one of the reasons they reached out to us is because they had some issues finding that type of space. Now, when you look at this screen, you see here 443 properties in this 3-mile radius that they requested. So you're thinking that's not going to be a problem. But check this out. Once we actually dig in here and split this into industrial, we drop from 443 just to 57. Okay, and when I talked to them in the meeting, I told them there was about 30 to 40 properties that fit that criteria. This says 57 properties that are going to be for lease in this area that could work. Now let's go deeper into their requirements. Yesterday we found out that they needed about 1,000 square feet of space to let's say 2,500. Okay, so once we do that, that drops down to 20. Now from this list of 20, the list of possible options that are going to have AC are going to drop precipitously. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what we have here. Okay, so out of the 20 some odd properties here, I went ahead and took the time to screen out the ones that I know aren't going to be able to work, but I want to point out a few standouts. I'm familiar with all of these buildings here, and the issue with this particular part of the market, take a look at the year built. A lot of these are built 73, 1980, 74. A lot of these older developments, which is the majority of these type of spaces. There's only one that was built in 2004. So, and they call this a retail strip center, but they have it listed as industrial. So the challenge with older developments is that, and let's just take Evergreen as an example. So if you guys can see this screen, this looks, let's go ahead and do results detail so you can see a better picture. So while this is loading, when you look at a spot like Evergreen here, here we go. So when you get a spot like Evergreen here, it's built in 1973. These are older developments. They're not going to have HVAC. You can see that the quality of these spaces is not great. You can literally see this has a central, it's kind of a space heater type situation. This isn't going to work for servers. So if you're trying to do a bare bones, super cheap setup, this works. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my client in this particular type of space, especially considering what they want to do here. So I would rule out all of these spaces just because I know from experience they're just not going to work. So if you take out spots like Evergreen from this list, then what you're left with are the best out of the pile that we're able to pull here. So 5904 Jessamine Street could be very viable because it has the type of development that can lend itself to having HVAC. They may or may not have HVAC in that particular space, but it's definitely a newer tilt wall construction here. It's going to be a little bit more upgraded. It's definitely easier to put HVAC in a space like this. But I will tell you, industrial type setups like this, when you see a big open bay door, 90% of the time there's no HVAC back there. So we'll have to check. But that's not exactly optimal, but it's the best out of this heap here. Now, 7350 Harwin is going to be a really good example of what could work for the price point I think they want, and also have air conditioning or HVAC, or some people call it climate controlled space. These type of flex spaces or industrial spaces, let me click on the picture here. These lend itself very well to storing servers because they have an industrial look and feel to it. Obviously you have some office users here, auto insurance discounters. I think that's a church there. When you see these type of users in this center, that'll tell you that, okay, there's AC for one, They're going to be 1,500 to 2,000 square feet spaces. They're going to have a small storage component. So I don't know if I can zoom in on this or not, but if you look at the site plan, most of the spaces are going to be all office type space with a small cutout for storage in the back. So this is definitely one area that I would take a look. It may be one of the only ones out of the industrial lineup that could work for us. So now that I've explained the type of property that's going to lend itself to climate controlled industrial space, I've selected the top, well actually I've selected all of the spaces that are going to have climate control that can be considered. So out of the 400 some odd options we started with in a 3 mile radius, we dropped it down to 20 some odd options for industrial space. And out of those 20, there are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we can consider, maybe 7. That's, believe it or not, for this type of search, that's not bad at all. That's pretty good. So let me add a conclusion here. For next steps, what I would do after I send this report to the client, if you guys want to report, just message in the comments below. But what we're going to do here is, if these don't work, I don't want to push out the parameters as much. But let's say, just for kicks, if they wanted to look at the broader market, we're not going to go inside of 610 because it's too expensive there for what they want to do. And there's no industrial that's going to fit inside of the 610 loop. Now, if we took the Beltway 8 and out here in this market where there's other industrial, that adds, maybe 4 or 5 more properties. That's one thing that I'm going to include in this search. Let's see if that works out and adds to the list of potential options. Something else we need to do if this doesn't work is we need to look at office space. Now, I know that the initial push was industrial from the client. Our job as brokers is to advise, and they may not be aware that many heavy server use type users prefer office space because it's obviously climate controlled. But in this particular part of the market, the price for office space is close to the price of industrial space that has office. To give you a comparison, if I were to take an office space that was in the the Beltway 8 here, the Class C space, or the cheapest space you can get, is roughly about $13 a foot per square foot per year. And the space for industrial that's climate controlled is going to be about anywhere from $11 a foot to about 12 or 13, almost the same, without the hassle of trying to fit a different type of use. So that's something else we can look at. If they're not happy with these options here, we'll pivot to include office space in the same area, and I'm very confident that we're going to find what we're looking for. So I don't want to make this too long. This is James signing off. Thank you so much for watching.